Carl Jung, your dream journal, and your soul walk into a bar together. That sounds like the beginning of a joke, but it is the beginning of a quotation from Carl Jung himself, not the bar part. Hi, I'm Vickie Transhow. Welcome to Dream Talking with Vickie. Today we're going to discuss the importance of keeping a dream journal. Jung felt it was so important that it incorporated your soul. I'd love to find out how you feel about it. Let's check it out. Let's begin with a quote from Carl Jung. I should advise you to put it all down as beautifully as you can in some beautifully bound book. It will seem as though you're making the visions banal, but then you need to do that. Then you are freed from the power of them. Then, when these things are in some precious book, you can go to the book and turn over the pages. And for you, it will be your church, your cathedral, the silent places of your spirit where you will find renewal. If anyone tells you that it is morbid or neurotic, and you listen to them, then you will lose your soul. For in that book is your soul. This quote encapsulates the essence of what it means to honor and understand our inner world. By recording our dreams and our visions in a beautifully bound book, we give them a sacred space, transforming them from some fleeting thoughts into tangible pieces of our soul. For the record, many of my dream journals have been regular composition notebooks. What elevates them to me, of course, are the contents, the dreams, and the feelings attached to them. Have you ever had a recurring dream? Worse yet, a recurring nightmare. When I was a little girl, I had a recurring nightmare about an evil witch. Now, this evil witch could be anywhere. She could appear at any place or any time when I followed a certain sequence in the dream. In the dream, I would be walking around the neighborhood outside, usually a sunny day. I'd make a turn and nothing looked familiar. No houses, no buildings, no people, nobody looked familiar to me. And of course, the more I walked, the more turns I made. It was like a little rat in a maze. I had no idea where I was. I was lost. At the end of the dream, I decided, well, I'm desperate, so I'm going to knock on someone's door and ask them for directions. You know whose door I knocked on. Hello. And of course, the evil witch opened the door, wickedly laughed, and grabbed me. And I woke up terrified. So I decided I'm going to write it in my journal. I didn't even call it a dream journal then. It was just a book where I usually drew pictures and I wrote down something that happened. But it really was bugging me that this dream kept happening over and over again. And I was frightened each time it happened. Do you ever have a dream like that just will not go away? Well, I did find a solution. Or rather, my dreams found a solution. Let me tell you about the last dream I had with the evil witch. In this dream, I was walking up a hill with a road next to it. Now, there really was a hill behind my home where I was living at that time. So I was in familiar territory. In the distance, I can see the evil witch. She's riding her broomstick really low to the ground. She's scouring the area, and then she sees me. She starts heading toward me. At that moment, I made a choice. The choice I made, I am going to stand my ground, not running away. I was scared, but I was not going to budge. As she headed toward me, a huge truck came up behind her, and because of the hill, he couldn't stop. and he ran over that witch and her broom. I ran over to the spot, took a look, and she looked like one of those cartoon pancakes. Characters. She was so flat. She looked like she was a chalk drawing on the pavement. From that time on, I never had another recurring dream about the evil witch. She was gone. And when I got home, I wrote in my dream journal. Now, in my dream journal, I had a lot of pictures, more than I had writing about things that happened. So, yeah, I drew a picture of a pancake witch. But the thing is, I knew at that point, even as a child, that I did something for myself. And I conquered part of my shadow. I shed light on it by conquering a fear, by facing her in my dream, making her small and powerless. I was beginning to heal that part of myself. Let's talk a little bit about our shadow. Sometimes you feel you have to conquer your shadow side, that it's something that is negative. It's not necessarily negative. It's part of us that we don't want to see. It's part of us that we probably aren't consciously aware of. So when I mentioned conquering my shadow, that was more conquering an aspect of the shadow that was interfering with my life, that was making me not function the way I wanted to function. So yes, that's one aspect of working with the shadow in your dreams. But the shadow can be a valuable ally because there are things that we might not acknowledge in our waking life that are assets that are part of our shadow self. That's been referred to as a golden shadow, and it's very much worth exploring. We dream, and our dreams do not discriminate against what's a golden shadow, what is a dark shadow, and that takes some introspection. So what might be a golden shadow? An everyday example. Have you ever had someone come up to you and say something like, "Wow, you have a beautiful voice," and you shake your head, "No, don't be silly, that's really not true," and you believe that. But the outsider, the person who is not inside your head, is listening to your voice and thinking, "That is just great. That sounds amazing." But you are denying it to yourself. And that could be your golden shadow. That's part of you don't want to acknowledge. There could be many, many reasons why you do not want to acknowledge it. But acknowledging the fact that it exists for you is a big step. That's why keeping entries in a dream journal is so cool, because you have things written in there that you might not consciously acknowledge because you're not even aware of them initially. But in retrospect, you go back and you reread some of your dream entries and you will be surprised, pleasantly surprised, how your golden shadow shows itself, because your dream self doesn't have the same inhibitions that you have. Your dream self could be singing opera, or could be singing in a band, or could be singing in a choir, or could just be singing on the top of a mountain, enjoying the view. Think about your golden shadow when you check your dream entries. I know it's there, and I know it's shining out at you. Golden shadow, dark shadow. Even as a child, I knew that there was something that wasn't right about being frightened all the time. I mean, you need to know if you're in a dangerous situation. This was different. This was coming from inside me rather than an outside threat. So I kind of figured that out along the way. And I would share my dreams with my friends. And at times I had prophetic dreams. I had dreams about things that would happen in the future. Nothing major, I mean, just everyday events. Like I would dream about a new schoolmate before they actually started school. So things like that. And I just thought it was fun. I didn't think much of it. And as I got older, I started to have more dreams like that. And one time I had a dream about someone who fell and hurt himself. And I told my best friend and a couple of other people about the dream. And they were like, oh, that's creepy. And I guess it kind of was. It was just a dream. Except 2 weeks later, it happened exactly the way I dreamt it. And they were, oh, you're evil, you creepy, you have strange dreams. We don't like that. We don't like you. And I stopped talking about my dreams with most people at that point. Because again, there is a shadow side, there is a dark side. And a lot of people are superstitious. A lot of people just don't experience dreams the way that you and I do. And although I kind of respect that, there should be mutual respect. And there often isn't. So I stopped sharing my dreams, at least stopped talking about them. But I did continue writing in my dream journal because, as Jung says, if anyone tells you it is morbid or neurotic that you listen to them, then you will lose your soul, for your soul is in your journal. And I guess part of your soul is in your journal, is in what you write and in things that you record. So I would say, for me, I love keeping my journal. I do discuss dreams with other people now, yay! And more people, I think, are willing to talk about their dreams. And I love this group of people. I love talking to you and getting feedback from you about dreams, because there is that golden shadow. And I think we kind of share that, which is awesome. Do you keep dream journals? And if you do you use them for anything other than your personal information and your personal memories? I've started to use my dream journals in conjunction with ancestral healing. It's been really interesting to tie in certain dreams that I found interesting at the time, but I'm now seeing tie-ins to ancestral messages and some clues that they may have left along the way. It's very cool. It's very interesting to do that. And I have my dream journal with me now. I have a certain format I use that's based on a format from Robert Moss, an amazing dream master. I love his work. Followed him for many years. And the format is writing your dream down, of course, but when you wake up, give your dream a name. Just a theatrical name, like it was a movie or a play, and just plop down. First thing that comes into your head is fine. You can always change it. And then you write down how you feel on waking, and just write it down. Happy, sad, frightened. Now that old witch frightened me. So just put it down. And then how does it tie in to your current reality? Is something happening, something that you might have seen in the dream? And then what action can you take based on the dream? What action are you going to take based on the information you receive from the dream? Could be very simple. I have one of my dream journals here, and I found a dream, a dream about Oprah. I know. And it's going to church with Oprah. And this is a church that I used to attend many moons ago when my daughter was a little girl, back at OLS in the 80s and 90s. I'm with Christine, my daughter, and then other people, and Oprah. We're participating in a contest, surprise, and we're preparing food. there's a deadline. We must go to different sites in the city, and then I have in parentheses to get ingredients and then meet back at the church. Oprah is waiting in the church, her headquarters. The food looks Mediterranean style. We are rushing to meet the deadline. We are all in teams. And the feeling I had was amused, and then a Choice woke me up. Choice is my kitty cat. Reality, watching a lot of cooking videos on YouTube. Action, see what Oprah is up to. Let Christine know about a really good book, The Midnight Library. That is an excellent book. I'll let you know about it too. But yeah, these are things that I write in the journal. But it's interesting to then look back on these entries as you go along, because it's a silly dream. It's a dreamy dream. But if you go back and look over time, there could be things in that tie in, especially the people that I met at the church. I think that has some significance, and messages that I might receive from them or even about them. So how do you use your dream journals? Do you use them like this, or do they just references that you go back to? There's no right or wrong answer. I'm just curious, because I find I'm using my dream journals more and more as time goes on. It's fascinating. Do you agree with Carl Jung? Your soul is in your dream journal? I think there's something to that. Anytime we record our dreams or part of us that we don't normally access, I believe our soul comes through. Our soul comes through in many ways in our art, whether it's music, whether it's actually painting, drawing, sewing, composing, anything. Even cooking is an art. You know I love cooking. But what do you think your soul is telling you in your dream journal? Do you go back and look? Do you think your ancestors are talking to you, are trying to connect with you, to connect with your soul in your dream journal, in your dreams? I was going back looking at records of mine, and I believe that there is something to it. I would be very curious to find out if any of you have had a similar feeling or a similar experience. Have you found any clues in your dream journal? Is your soul speaking to you? Are your ancestors reaching out to you and trying to touch your soul to give you clues about some mysteries that you might have questions about? It's possible. Carl Jung believed it, and I've seen a few incidences personally myself. So if you have anything like that you'd like to share, please leave a comment or email me, let me know, and I'd love to include your story in a future episode. Speaking of future episodes, I am working on an art project. It has to do with fairy tales, and I thought this is a perfect way for me to include some ancestral healing in my art. So I'll be sharing my art project in the next episode. It's all about healing, forgiveness, and do the ends justify the means? Yes, fairy tales are really very awesome because they have been kind of sanitized recently. They can be extremely dark, but they were dark times they were written in. They go back centuries, and they are cautionary tales. So I think you might be interested. I'll be sharing the story. I'll be sharing the art, and I hope you'll join in and let me know if you've created any art, any type of art, whether it's quilts, even family recipes. It's amazing what things are handed down generation to generation and how they affect our lives today. please share your thoughts and your dreams, and any comments you have to make, please leave them below. If you're listening to the podcast, you can email me at vickie.podia.com with any of your dreams and any of your dream journal entries that you might like to share with us. Thank you so much. Remember to like, subscribe, and share to get future episodes. And thank you very much. You're appreciated.